So a punting situation. Play. Comes the rush and it's blocked. Levin has it. Touchdown, Legacy. Special teams making their mark early, and Legacy scores first.
Well, we're through week 3 now in high school football, and it's time to unveil our top 10s in both Class 4A and 5A. Welcome to ISPN.TV along with Marty Cesario. I'm Brian Roth. Boy, it's getting chilly out there. I had to go with the long sleeves today, Marty. It is Monday, and we come out with our new rankings every Monday. When it gets cold outside, or starts to, that means that we're starting to get a better idea of who some of the top teams in 4A and 5A are. But before we get to that, boy, we had some pretty good games on tap on CET here this past week. We had Ponderosa and Palmer in our game this past Thursday. Burt.com Stadium is the new stadium down in Parker. It is a beautiful facility. You're going to see it at some point here this year, Marty. Great facility down there. And then a Front Range League battle with Legacy and Rocky Mountain from North Stadium, another one of those new stadiums. Great game there. We got a chance to see Kip Smith, the kicker for Legacy, and he is outstanding. And then Thornton and Hinckley. Always nice to get the matchup there, and you had a pretty good game.
Yeah, it was homecoming, so obviously the festivities kind of added to the folklore and everything that was there with the extravaganza. And then football-wise on the field, saw a great game. Hinckley and Thornton battled it out. Hinckley hadn't won a game yet, but Coach Bozade with some of their back attack that they had going there with Larice Brown, Isaiah Thompson, they exploded. Zach Lopez, 4 interceptions. Great day for the Thunderbirds.
So again, that was our lineup here from this past week. We'll tell you our lineup for this week coming up here in a sec. But let's get to the top 10s. We start in 5A. Mullen, they go on the road and they get the win at Rockhurst. I know that's a big win for the Mullen Mustangs. I know Rockhurst not as good as last year, but that's still a great program.
Yeah, the Mustangs, you know, we got to keep them up top, and it's not just because they're Mullen and they've got, you know, the pedigree as a legendary program, but, you know, we've talked about the way they win. Defense and experience, and then they go and give the payback out to Rockhurst. So certainly they're for real now, 4-0 collectively, you know, throughout this season.
Yeah, Columbine stays at number 2. Danny Spahn playing mostly just offense now as Coach Andy Lowry trying to maybe save him. But then we get our first change in the top 10. Bear Creek loses to Chatfield in what was a great game. That's a big win for Chatfield. It drops Bear Creek to 1-2 and out of our top 10 poll, but we're not going to be surprised that Bear Creek is right back in.
No, we know, you know, Thinnell and Lockett are great skills players. We know about the passing game. Bear Creek always has the Jeffco blue-collar kids up front in the trenches. They're good. They just have 2 losses, and other squads deserve to bump up. Bear Creek, will get to find out about them because they're going to take on Pomona, who's still in our top 10. So, hey, Bears, you want to get back in? You get to prove it this week.
That's right. Looking at the rest of the top 10, obviously Chatfield moves up 1, Fairview up 1, Grandview up 1. There's Arvada West. They rolled once again here this week, and Pomona. And then Chaparral and Overland. There are 2 new teams, and Cherry Creek drops out after a loss to Class 4A Monarch. It's a good Monarch team. But Chaparral, 3-0, and then Overland comes in at 3-0 as well. They hung 54 on Arapahoe last week.
Yeah, the Trailblazers, I think Coach Manfredi, we always know about him so much. But Michael Hall, they got a great running back who's got 600 yards. Overland just put up 50+ on Arapahoe, so they deserve to get in. In Chaparral, it's about time because Coach Vogt, he's working this power program, especially on the offensive side. His quarterback, Loudenback, he's young, he's playing well. Spencer Duran, Selena, I mean, they're doing really well. It's time for the Wolverines to get up there in our top 10. They deserve it.
Yeah, and Loudenback actually started a couple years ago as a freshman for Ponderosa and then transferred over to Chaparral. So in 5A, 2 out, 2 fresh teams in. Moving to Class 4A, no change in the top 10. Everybody took care of business. Greeley West still right at the top. Heritage, you saw Pine Creek. They're good, aren't they?
Yeah. I took a slip over to Shea Stadium, checked it out against Rock Canyon. And you know what? If you saw one of those old films, you know, like a 50-style footage of Bear Bryant in Alabama, that's what they look like. They're that impressive physically. Even the unis kind of look like that with a different color. They went up 14-0 within like 2 minutes. They are for real, and we're going to find out with them this week, Saturday, against Fountain Fort Carson.
Yeah, how about that? Fountain Fort Carson at number 7, Pine Creek at number 3. It's a game we're going to have for you right here on CET Sports. Again, look for it coming up next week. It'll be played on September 26th down at District 20 Stadium. Wheat Ridge still in the top 10. They continue to roll Montrose, Longmont, Littleton, and Dakota Ridge. We're going to have that Wheat Ridge Dakota Ridge coming up on Thursday. Herb Brown and I are going to have the call on that one, and that's another great top 10 matchup here on CET.
Yeah, the Farmers, you know, defending state champions, they seem to be, you know, they still clicking, and now they get to prove themselves against Dakota, who lost to a very powerful, it seems like, as we're learning with the Chatfield Chargers. That's their only loss. So, you know, Coach Woach, Coach Call, time for you guys in a moment of truth for you.
Yeah, that's going to be a very good one. Again, that's going to be out at the NAC, and we'll have it for you here on CET. And by the way, to give you an idea of how good some of these teams in 4A and kind of the talent disparity when you get down to Class 4A, Wheat Ridge, Dakota Ridge, Montrose, and then Fountain Ford Carson won by a combined score of 239 to nothing here this past week. So again, good games coming up here this week. Those are our 4A and 5A top 10. Also look for our plays of the week. They're right below us right here on ISPN.TV.